Hi, everyone, and a warm welcome to this webinar hosted by us from Linnaeus University. I see that a lot of people are going to join in the coming minutes here, so I will wait a little while until I start the webinar. But welcome everybody, and we will be talking here for about 30 minutes. But before we start talking and going through the presentation, it's always great for us to see who is participating. So while we are waiting for the webinar to start, feel free to write in the chat where you're from, what's your name, and what you're going to study. And then we'll get a good overview of who is participating. Once again, a warm welcome, and I will wait 1-2 minutes before we start everything here. Great to see. I see Austin from US studying software technology is first out here. Who else do we have with us? We have Leonora from India studying business. And we have Samin Hasib, we have Gavin from Ireland. We have Rosa from Finland and Lisa from Ukraine. Great to see so many of you joining in here. And let's see here, we have a lot of participants today, so we will wait a minute before I start with the presentation to make sure that everybody has joined in here. I see a lot of different students. Great to see so big mix with students from different countries here. So let's see. Well, I will get started now since we have passed the first minutes here. So I think that the majority has joined in. So thanks for being here. And today we will talk about what is happening with my application. And obviously, we want to welcome you all. We are here from Linnaeus University, and this webinar is towards students that already have applied. So we have only invited students that already applied. And who are we? Well, it's me, Stefan Haglund. I will be the one moderating this webinar. And with me, as you can see, I have a big team because we are expecting a lot of questions. So I have Jessica, Caroline, Henrik, Simon, Winnie, Sophia, and Åsa being with us here on this webinar. And as you can see, we are covering everything from international office to student recruitment, student ambassador, and admission office, basically. So that means that we have good opportunities of answer all your questions, basically, here. And what will we talk about? Well, obviously, main focus will be about questions concerning your application statuses and merit ratings, such things that becoming more important now a stage into your application. We will talk a little bit about late application, because even if you have applied, it might be that you are interested in knowing something about late applications. We will give some other relevant information. It can be around tuition fees, what kind of information you should start looking at this stage, preparing your studies for the coming semester. And then obviously by the end, we will also have a Q&A part, basically, where I will mostly talk with Caroline regarding questions that has come in during the webinar. And if you have questions now during the webinar, feel free to ask them in the Q&A part. As you can see, you have both the chat part and the Q&A part, but use the Q&A part for your direct questions, because it's easier for us to answer through that part. In the chat, we will also share relevant links to information that I will be giving during the webinar. So let's start a little bit then with what is happening with my application. And to start with that, obviously, it's good to just get a reminder about the timeline for application. As you all know, the application period opened basically 15th of October, and last day to apply to be in time was 15th of January. And then last day to support application to be in time and to pay application fee was 2nd of February. And the next upcoming relevant dates now obviously are the ones when the notification of selection result will be released. So we have 26th of March for master applicants and 31st of March for bachelor applications. And just as a reminder, I'm pretty sure that all of you know by now, otherwise I would be surprised, but all applications are obviously done through the application portal universityadmissions.se. As you can see up in the corner here, basically log in is where you log in and where you follow your application, basically. So log into your account, make sure that you look at the messengers given to you in the account, because you always get them more specified in the account. You can find every information regarding supporting documents, regarding something is missing. You will see your status such as not eligible, cancelled, deleted, not processed, under process, etc. in your account. And this is also where you will later on will find your admission result. Emails will always be sent to you regarding that there are relevant information or that the selection has been made, for example. But it's in the account logged in where you find the more specified information. So I will start to go through a little bit about what different statuses stands for. And obviously, there is a huge, there are a lot of different messages that can be given to students, but the most common ones are these four, basically. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of you, specifically if you have applied for a bachelor program, for example, will see the status in progress. And that basically means that the application has not been reviewed yet, or it can actually also be that something is currently happening with the application, or that it's partly reviewed and that somebody is now looking at the merit rating. But this is also shown in a stage where the National Agency hasn't done the pre-evaluation of the academic documents. And so very, very common is in progress, and this is not something that we basically can change from the university. It's something that you just have to be patient and wait for a more direct result, which will be given in shortly when you have in progress. The good result that probably a lot of you see now also is qualified. And this means basically that an application has been reviewed and that you meet the entry requirement for the specific application alternative. And it also means that you will be part of the selection. And it's good to specify that, because qualified is not to mix up with admitted. Qualified basically means that you will run in the selection. It doesn't mean that you are guaranteed a place. It doesn't mean that you have a high or low chance of being admitted or something like that. It only means that you will be in the selection. Unqualified, well, it means that your application has been reviewed, and it means also that you do not meet the entry requirements specifically set up for that application alternative. It doesn't really always mean that there is no chance that you will be qualified, because sometimes it can also be that it has been partly reviewed, or it can be that documents was sent in after we did your first evaluation. So sometimes unqualified can also be changed due to that it has only partly been reviewed. But if you are unqualified, it basically also means that if that's a status you will have like just before the selection, it means that you will have no chance of being admitted, basically. Conditionally qualified, well, for example, if somebody are in ongoing studies, and you are, for example, applying for a master program and you are at the last year of your bachelor program, we can see, for example, that you have the correct bachelor, but you have not finished it, and that means that you cannot be qualified until you have the degree, diploma, and everything uploaded. Then we sometimes give conditionally qualified, because we think and see that you, before the program starts, will have the documentation that give you make you qualify for the specific program and make you eligible. And then we can put that as a status. But it is mostly given to students applying for master level. Rather seldom it's given to students applying for undergraduate program, due to that we're not allowed to give that kind of conditionally eligibility. It's only if you can show that you basically are studying in the Swedish high school system and have a registration for a specific requirement, for example. I'm pretty sure that we will get back to these statuses further on, because I know that a lot of students have questions around this, and I will ask Caroline a little bit more to specify this. If looking in your account, this is how it can look, basically. You can see here, for example, that in a certain application, you can be unqualified for one alternative and then be qualified for another alternative. And this obviously has to do with that it can be different entry requirements for the programs. So, for example, you see the picture here. Somebody is unqualified for the innovation program, but qualified for the Jönköping alternative in applied economics and data. And that could be, for example, that a program might demand economics, and another program demand business, and the students have an economic background, and that means obviously unqualified for one alternative but qualified for another alternatives. You can also see the alternative here, late application, not yet processed, an unqualified alternative, and this means that the students probably have added an alternative in the process. Maybe you one applied for two alternatives first and then added a third alternative as a first priority later on. And that basically means that if you are qualified for some alternatives in such an application, you will run for that ones, but the ones that were made late, you will not run for in the first selection. They will be reviewed later on in the process, basically, when we have started looking at late application. And you also see here in progress for the physics alternative. And this might come and go also, actually, because sometimes, for example, somebody is reviewed as eligible, but then we send it to the faculty and they start looking at the merit rating because there might be an alternative selection. And then they start counting on different things. And then we lock it again, and then it becomes in progress. So that's, don't be furious or angry if it changes. It's just basically how it is. So also some common question that I will go through now is obviously whether you can submit documents at this stage, because obviously a lot of students has become unqualified, and it can be that you meet the requirements based on the documents you have studied. Sorry, the education you have studied, but it might be that you forgot to send part of these documents in. And then it's obviously still okay to send them in, but we will, in that case, not look at the documents before the first selection, because if sending in documents late, we don't have the time basically to look at them at this stage, because we prioritize everybody who has done everything in time, and also students that has done everything in time will get the place before somebody submitting late documents. For programs where we still have places available, this will not be a problem, obviously, but for programs where it might be full after the selection, then obviously it's a problem uploading documents late. There is one exemption regarding this, and this is regarding English tests, as you can see here. We actually allow students to upload English tests in a very late stage. I can't tell a certain date, but let's say 10th of March approximately. Until then, we can accept uploaded tests. If you upload English tests at that late stage, it is, however, very important that you also send an email to admission@lnu.se and just notify us that you have uploaded English tests late, because we have to go in and review that manually, basically, at that late stage, due to that all uploaded documents will otherwise be reviewed after the selection. So if you upload an English test such as IELTS, TOEFL, Pearson, do not forget to notify us when you have done it. And here is just like a reminder also about providing application documents, that there is a lot of relevant information to look into. I mean, for example, if you have got messages sent to you in your application telling that some documents are missing, or that certain documents should be uploaded, and you don't fully understand what do one mean in this message sent to me, well, search the web, look at what kind of documents that should always be provided, look into the country instructions, because there are certain country instructions. It can be, for example, that certain countries need to send documents directly from university, or need to send it by postal service, or this differs from country to country. So I always tell students and encourage everybody to strongly that always look at the country-specific requirements, because it makes you understand much better also if you have a certain message in your application. And it can also be that you are at the final year. There are very specific instructions regarding how you should upload your documents, and what you need to notify us regarding courses that you are currently studying, for example, and that it needs to be signed by your university. So look at that, and if you have a text regarding it, you can always search and get it more specified. Also regarding certain verification or certification or attestation, for example. So look at that at the university admissions also. And also a little bit of reminder about entry requirements to make you understand why you might be eligible or not eligible. Well, it's good to understand the different words that we use. I mean, entry requirements, for example, you have general entry requirements, which is basically allowing you to either study your bachelor level program at the university. That's basically the lowest level that we demand, you could say, for somebody to study at university level. Usually that means for bachelor level, a finished high school or upper secondary education, for example, and also that you meet certain requirements in English. For general entry requirements for master level, that usually means like a bachelor degree, corresponding to an equivalent to a Swedish 3-year bachelor. If you look at country-specific requirements, you will see the length of the degree needed. I mean, for example, in India, you need to have like a 4-year degree, or Pakistan is the same, while some other countries, it's might be okay with 3-year degrees. So look at your country-specific requirements to see how many years. You have the English requirements, and it should be corresponding towards the English course 6. That's the mentioning of the high school course in the Swedish system. For example, IELTS 6.5, TOEFL 90 corresponds towards that also. So that you need to meet for different countries. You meet it directly from your high school requirements. For some, you meet it from your academic studies. So look that out also in order to understand a little bit more on why you were not qualified, for example. Country instructions, I've said this several times already. I point at it again because that's where you see how long should a certain education be, what's equivalent to what kind of attestation do I need to arrange with from my specific country. Can I upload the documents, which most of you guys can, or do I need to send it in by postal service or by email? Also, one thing is the program-specific entry requirements. So, as I said, general entry requirements is basically the lowest level in order to study at a certain level. But then, obviously, if you study like mathematics program at undergraduate level, it demands more compared to if you're going to study peace and development studies. So it's important to also look into the entry requirements at the program-specific page. Or, for example, if you're going to apply for a program demanding a certain specialization in, for example, bachelor level, if you're applying for a master level program and it demands a certain kind of bachelor, let's say in business, to study a depth master in a business, or it can also be that it's only demanding a bachelor degree, basically. So read the specific end requirements. It will make you understand why a certain message is sent to you. When it comes to selection, this is something also a lot of students ask about. Upper secondary education, for example, mentioned here as one of the most common selection ways, is based on the merit rating that you get from your high school upper secondary education. And we basically count that out into the Swedish system, make it equivalent to the Swedish system. So the GPA basically from your high school diploma are transferred to the Swedish system, and the Swedish system maximum scale is 22.5. So 22.5 is the highest you can get, and I think the lowest is somewhere around 10. So somewhere between 10 to 22.5 if you meet the entry if you have a finished high school diploma. Aptitude test might be mentioned, and that is just because we have to use it. It's something that are only given in Swedish, and for Swedish students, it's basically like a second chance if you had a low grade from your upper secondary education. But it's only given in Swedish, and it's not something that international students can use, basically. But by law, we have to do selection based on it, and therefore it's also mentioned on the pages, program pages, when it comes to what kind of selection we make. And some programs also have individual assessments, and then it might be a motivation letter or other relevant documents that we look at. Look at the program page specifically to get more information about that. It's very rare, though, on undergraduate level. If we look at master level, it's much more common with individual assessment. I would say that is most common way we do the selection. So it's mentioned either individual assessment or alternative selection, for example. And what we look at then, beside the university degrees, is statement of purpose, motivation letter. We usually look at the CV that shows what kind of background you have, what you have worked with, if you have some other link to the education you're applying for. And we also, in some cases, look at a portfolio, and that is usually for design educations. Unfortunately, it's hard to give like a general description about how individual assessments are done, because it's up to every program manager or faculty, basically, to have an individual assessment, basically, and specify how one make the individual assessment. Second most common selection for master is basically done on higher education credits, and then it's only the amount of credits a certain student have. If you have specific question regarding the selection, you can send a question to admission@lnu.se, and then they will specify for the specific program you are applying for and give you a little bit more information. But it's hard to tell exactly actually for the master level. But I will at least give it a little shot to explain a little bit about the alternative selection rating groups that we use here, just to give a brief idea about it. You can see, for example, here alternative selection, then it's going to be AU that we use. And then the highest rating somebody can have is actually 999. So the higher you have in the alternatives selection, the better it is. On the other hand, it's hard to know where the faculty started. So maybe they have put nobody at 999, maybe they have started at 500, which means that 500 might be the highest. So it's very hard to kind of be clever and sort out what a certain alternative selection merit rating group stands for. Just telling it, and it's how we partly want it to be basically when it's alternative selection. You just have to be patient in that situation and wait. APAV is a little bit more understandable, but it's also generally just around 100. I can't remember now, Caroline. What is the highest you can have at APAV?
There are two different groups. One of them is 165 is the highest, and one is 185.
Exactly.
So it depends on the different groups, but 165 in any case is among the highest.
And it's counted based on how many. Well, it's counted on a summarized version of how many academic credits you have, you could say, and it's usually used when we know there is not going to be a sharp selection on the specific program, one could say, because then we would use something else. We also have a late application merit rating group, and it's called SA. So if you, for example, did a late application and have been reviewed, sometimes we open up late applications, it will basically be given SA merit ratings based on the date you applied, basically. And then for undergraduate, you also have something called B1 and B2. And this is, as I described before, maximum 22.5. And it's something called direct group, and also if somebody has also applied and uploaded certain grades in certain subjects, for example, you can also be in the B2 group. But usually there's no big difference between these two ones, but the highest rating is 22.5. You can see the example here, 16.56, for example. And then you have PG, which is guaranteed seat, basically. That is a good merit rating group, if you can see that at a certain alternative. Late application. Well, I want to mention a little bit about it, even though I know that all you guys have already applied. For example, we get a lot of this question, obviously, can I still do a late application? And yes, you can. So if you have the possibility to add alternatives, that's most possible to do, as long as an alternative is open for application. And what will happen then, as I described a little bit before, is that the alternative that you applied for in time will run in the selection, and you will be notified by the end of March, while the alternatives that you applied late to will be given information about later on, as soon as we open late applications for reviewing. And we open late applications for reviewing by date you applied. So if you, for example, applied for 2 alternatives late at 2 different occasions, different dates, they might be reviewed also at different stages. So that's also good to keep in mind. If you are an EU citizen, you can also apply in the national admission round. And that means that you basically can apply in the round before 15th of April. If you need information about this, please contact us through admission@lnu.se, and we can give you instructions regarding how to make application. And this application round opens 15th of March, basically, and it's going to be through the Swedish application portal that you can see here, antagning.se. And also one thing to basically point out is also that even if an alternative is open for late application, it doesn't really mean that there is an available place, because sometimes we might not know whether there are places available. We usually close an alternative when we know for sure that it's full, but an open program does not mean that it's 100% guaranteed a place. So remember that. And it might be still that you will be placed on the waiting list. And generally, it takes 3 to 6 weeks after the selection, basically, that we review late applications. And we do it, as you can see, after all applications in time has been reviewed. This depends rather much on the national agency also, because they do a pre-review, as you know, where they look at the documents basically meeting the general entry requirements or not. So very important to keep in mind that we take late application as soon as possible, but usually it takes 3 to 6 weeks. And it's basically going to be a first come, first get when it comes to late application. So we don't do merit ratings based on academic background or such things when it comes to late application. It's just like first come, first get. So with that said, I will go through some other information that might be relevant at this stage also. Due to that, we are here now to answer a lot of questions. I also want to remind everybody about that there is a very good section at the university admission webpage where you can find frequently asked questions. You can see here the University Admission Support Center. There is different sections: entry requirements, admission applications, supporting documents, admission result, late application, reapplying, fees, and scholarship. So you find a lot of relevant areas with information, not needing to send emails asking. Check here first, and you can find a lot of good information. And if you still have questions after you have looked at this section, you can basically also chat with university admissions. You can contact them by email or by contact form, or you can even call them. And if you feel that the question is a little bit more specific and directly to us at the university, you can also contact us at admission@lnu.se. And you will get in touch with Caroline, who answer a lot of questions through that email. Also, a little bit reminder about application fee. If you didn't pay your application fee in time and you want to do it now, it can still be done. But remember that your application will be late from the date that the payment is received. So if you pay by now, we will not review your application before the selection, basically. And who do need to pay an application fee? Well, if you are from the EU, EEA, citizenship, or Switzerland, you don't need to pay application, but you still must submit documents to state your citizenship. And that can be, for example, a reason why you have not been reviewed, that you forgot to send up such or upload such documents. And as I said, you can still do it, but you need to remember then that it will be counted as a late application. And if you are an international student from such country, you need to pay application fee, even if you have residence permit for studies. But for example, if you are in ongoing studies in Sweden, you don't need to pay application fee. So only students from from outside Sweden need to pay application fee if it comes to being an active student. And if you have a residence permit for some other reason, also beside studies, it could be a working permit or it could be other grounds, then you don't need to pay application fee either. Please though, remember you need to upload documents stating this. I also want to remind everybody about the tuition fees. For non-EU citizens, we do have tuition fees. And as you can see here, humanities, social science, business, 125,000 Swedish krona approximately. Natural science, engineering, computer science, 175,000 Swedish krona for 1 year of studies. And design, music, much more expensive, 320,000 Swedish krona. And as you can see here, 10 Swedish krona is approximately 1 euro. I also want to mention about our scholarship program, even though it's too late to apply for it now. I know that a lot of you students that prioritize Linnaeus University first have got the opportunity to apply for scholarships, and these are the scholarship programs that Linnaeus University offers. You have the Linnaeus University Scholarship Program and the IKEA and Södra Scholarship. Through Swedish Institute, you also have the Swedish Institute Scholarship Program, but I think it's getting too late to apply for that also by now. Unfortunately, as I said, there will be no availability to apply for scholarship if you're applying late. And scholarship result for the ones that did apply in time will be notified in the mid of April. Also, I want to remind everybody about that it's time to start looking at some other different areas also. For example, how to pay tuition fees, how to apply for residence permit, and also apply and put yourself in housing queues. Because, I mean, it's not very far away now that you will get your admission letter, and then time moves quickly. And for some of these areas, it's actually good to be as early as possible doing these stages. For example, paying your tuition fee, applying for residence permit, because it's a huge amount of students in Sweden that starts to do all these stages at the same time. And if you are just ready to do your payment of tuition fees or apply for residence permit directly, it means that you are basically first in queue, because at all I mean, for example, the migration office, they will review by date you uploaded your application for residence permit. So the sooner you do things, the better. More information about this you can find at Study at Linnaeus University, but also preparing for your stay at lnu.se. We will also share these links in the chat. And now, lastly, a reminder that the selection result will be published 26th of March when it comes to master application and 31st of March when it comes to bachelor application. And also some useful links and contact information. I mean, obviously, lnu.se, you'll find a lot of relevant information. You have the lnu.se/study, our inspiration portal, where you also find a lot of information. Application portal, you all know by now, but that's where you find the best information when it comes to application, universityadmissions.se. You also have some general information about studies in Sweden, studyinsweden.se, if you haven't looked at that portal. And if you want to contact us, you can do so through study@lnu.se or admission@lnu.se, or through our chat system, which are open some month more, lnu.se/en/chat. And with that said, I also want to remind about our upcoming webinars. We will actually have a similar webinar to this one for another big group of students. It will be next week, but you are not invited to that. But if you by any chance feel that you need to be part of that, you can email us as we can look into the possibilities. But I think it's actually full, that webinar also. But we will also have a pre-admission webinar, 19th of March. We'll focus a little bit more on the parts I went through before regarding residence permit, paying tuition fee, etc. And then further on, we also have a specific webinar focusing more detailed on tuition fees and residence permit, what you need to know. We will also share a link via the chat where you can find more information about this. If you want to follow us on social media, you can also do so through Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. You see our addresses here. It's obviously at Linnaeus University where you search at, and you will find our social media. That was that, and I'm pretty sure that we have had a lot of questions now. So, Henrik, please.
Yes.
While I rest my voice for just a minute, what are the most common questions that we have got here?
I think that we've got quite a lot of questions on late application, and maybe if you want to rest your voice, I'm asking Caroline instead. To start with, there's some students that hasn't paid the application fee yet, and if they pay it now, is it seen as a late application?
Yes, if you pay your application fee after the 1st of February, your application will be considered late. And also your merit rating will be based on your date of application for the master programs.
Yeah. And linked to that, there's also some students that is saying either that they're missing some documents, for example, the English test. If they upload that now, will that be seen as a late application?
No, if the application was made on time, the fee was paid on time, and the other documents were submitted on time, it doesn't change your entire application to a late application. So it depends what documents you're submitting late, and also if it's just your English test, we can accept it even if you submit it late, as Stefan informed you. So just notify us that you've submitted an English test later, and we will look into it. We can accept it, and your application will still be considered on time.
One thing that we could add in, also, sorry, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of you now are thinking, oh, I wonder whether it's worth making that payment or not at this stage. And one good thing to do then is to look at universityadmissions.se, and if the program that you applied for are still open, then chances are there. But if it's closed, then obviously do not pay, because that probably means that the program already is full. And if you make the payment, you will be like a late application for a program that has closed for late application. So do not pay in that case. But if the program is open for late application, there are chances, and it could be worth taking the chance, basically.
Yeah, that's good. And also I saw somewhere in the chat as well, someone said that they've been asked to re-upload the documents. If they do that now, is that seen as a late application?
No, it's just a late submission. At least for Linnaeus University, this will not turn your application into a late application. I know that maybe some other universities will consider your application late, but it depends also, again, on which document it is you're submitting now. Because if it was something missing, which is impacting your entire eligibility for a program, then we will not be able to consider it in time for the selection. But if it's something that's maybe to remove the condition to your conditional status, we can still accept it. We will process your application with the conditional status and then update it after the selection once the document has been processed. So it always depends on which document it is and what your situation is specifically.
Yeah, and it's the same as I see more questions regarding late application. It's the same if the statement of purpose is uploaded late, then it's also
Yes, as long as the department hasn't already checked your application for a statement of purpose and didn't find one there, it will not affect. They will read your statement of purpose even if it was submitted after the 2nd of February, if they haven't processed your application yet. They will not see that, oh, this was submitted on the 5th of February, we will consider it. They will consider it, but it depends where they are in their process. So if you submit it now, maybe it's too late, but if you know that you submitted it just a day or two after the deadline, I'd say that's fine.
Yeah. That's good. We also get some questions. The English tests, is it compulsory? And if I studied my bachelor's in English, do I need to take an English test?
The test is not compulsory, but it's depending on your background. If you studied in an English-speaking country in English, then you will only need to submit your academic documents, and your English will be registered as meeting the requirement. But if you studied in English in a non-English speaking country, or where English is not the only language, you need to check the instructions, country instructions on university admissions, because you might have to submit a test anyway, depending on the exact extent of English in your studies or which country you studied in.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're not sure if your country is needing to submit an English test or not, you can check university admissions and search for your country, and then it's are very clear on the country instructions if you're meeting the English requirements or not. And you can also go to YouTube and find our channel. We had a webinar for a few weeks ago, and on that one you can learn more about the English test and which countries that is needing the English test or not. So I would recommend you to check that out in our on our YouTube channel as well. Then we have some questions about if I made a late application, will I get the result as the same date as the ones that has made the application in time?
No, most likely no. We usually process only applications made on time in the regular selection. So if you made a late application, you will receive separate selection results once we have processed your application. And we process all late applications in chronological order by date of application. So if you applied in February, you will receive results quite soon after the regular selection. But if you applied just now in March, you will have to wait longer for us to process your application.
Yeah.
I also have a question here. I said before, Caroline, I looked at you when I said it. I wonder whether this is correct or not. So I'm going to ask you now the exact date, because somebody's asking here. What is the last date of submitting the English language test?
Okay, yeah, I didn't correct you because I was writing something else and I didn't want to interrupt you. I thought it would come up anyway.
Yes.
We've talked about 15th of March, actually, but even if your result is issued on the 16th of March and you contact us and we haven't started the selection process, we can still update your application. So basically until the selection starts, which will be just before you receive your results. So just contact us if you know that your result is coming. Even if you have signed up for an IELTS or a TOEFL, you know that you will receive your results just after the 15th of March. You can still contact us. We can make it's a manual process here locally at the university, so it's okay.
It's a good thing it was not the opposite, that I said that 20th was okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So perfect. So 15, 16 around that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have another question here, Caroline. If my university issue official documents in English, do I also have to submit the copy in my mother tongue?
No, usually not. If the university has issued them in English and it's your official document, then it will be sufficient.
Yeah, that's good. And then I'm going through here, seeing there is a lot of quite specific questions regarding like a specific application, and then I would say it's then you can email admissions office and ask them directly with your application number. So we'll not go through specific applications here. Yeah, someone is saying, I have applied for a master in economics and I noticed that my application status shows unqualified. And then, yeah, could you please qualify what this unqualified mean?
If you can see unqualified at this point, it means that we have processed your application and didn't find that you meet the requirements. So we confirm that you are unqualified because you are ineligible for the program. So either something is missing or you don't have the specific entry requirements. And if for some reason we made a mistake, or if you think that it's an incorrect assessment, you can also contact us at admission and we can look into it, because there might be a different reason or different reasons for this status. But unqualified means that you do not meet the requirements for the program.
Good. And then related to that, I guess that maybe someone is unqualified and is asking, can I still apply for the second round?
It depends on your situation. Most of you applying in this first round are probably fee-paying students, and in that case, you cannot apply in the second round because you will receive your selection results in July, and the last day to pay your tuition fees for the autumn semester will be the 1st of June. So if you're an EU citizen, you are able to apply in the second round as well because you do not need to pay any application or tuition fees. But if you're a fee-paying student, this is your application round and you don't get the second chance of the second round.
Good. Yeah, I see that you've been answering this in the Q&A, but maybe it's good for others to know as well. As a master applicant, if I apply for multiple programs, would I be accepted based on my priority list, or is there some other ordering process of acceptance?
Yes, the order of your application is your order of preference. It's your priority order. We will always try to offer you a seat for your first priorities or your number one in the application. If you are unqualified for that one or placed on a waiting list or not offered a seat for some other reason, we will process your second choice and then the third choice, etc. So this is your job when applying to arrange your application in your order of priority so that you can be happy with your application, hopefully admitted to the first choice in your application.
Good. And we just got in a new question here. Can an application get clarification as to why their application result is a non-qualified result?
Yes, usually when we confirm your status as unqualified, you also get this information, what the unqualification means. If you're lacking a certain specific entry requirement, or if your degree is not equivalent to 180 credits or similar. Sometimes it can be a bit blunt. We cannot separate these information. So maybe you see everything and you think, I do have a degree in this and this, and then actually your degree wasn't registered in the database because one of your pages in your transcript was missing, and then you will still see that your degree is not equivalent to 180 credits in business administration. So I understand that it can be difficult to interpret the information sometimes, but you will be offered at least some kind of information to why we think you're unqualified.
And this makes Caroline as angry as you guys, because it makes her life much more complicated and creates a lot of questions.
It's the database fault. We cannot help it, actually.
I can also add on that I see a lot of students asking the questions in the chat. So if you have questions, please write them in the Q&A part, because it's very complicated for us to keep track of all questions in the chat. If you keep going, Henrik, with the questions, I will see if I can sort some of the questions from the chat out. We'll make sure to take them also. But please, a reminder to everybody, write your questions in the Q&A part.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I will try to shorten this question down a little bit because it's quite long, but it's a student studying in Palestine, so not English-speaking country, and asking, I think there is a double question here. Do they need to take English test even if they're studying American curriculum for their high school? And they have scored on the SAT, so basically it's SAT needed for a bachelor degree admission.
If you have a diploma from a school with an American curriculum, you do not need to submit a separate English language proof of proficiency. And SAT is not required. Usually, if you have grades and a diploma issued from your high school, it will be sufficient, and we will not take the SAT into consideration.
Yeah. Good. Then we have someone asking, is it possible to get admission even if I put priority 7 for the news university?
Yeah, it's possible. It depends on the other 6 before. If you're unqualified for those, or if you're not offered a seat because they are full or you're on the waiting list, you can still be admitted to your number 7 choice. Yes.
I see a lot of questions here in the chat regarding English, so I will drop in with that, Henrik, or to Caroline. So be prepared, because there's a lot of questions regarding English. Where do we write the English test? I guess that means what are the most common English tests?
Yes, you need to take the test and sign up for it yourself. It's nothing that we offer here at the university. So you can take an IELTS or a TOEFL or a PTE or a Cambridge certificate, or all these different kinds of proof of English proficiency, but you need to organize this on your own. So you need to sign up, for example, for an IELTS in a test center. So it's nothing we will assist with, but you can check university admissions for all the tests we do accept. If you have a local one or something near you, make sure to see that it's one of the tests we do accept.
And here is an add-on question then, which is more specific, but it might be good because it specifies a little bit more for other students asking or thinking about similar things. Hi, I have a question about the English requirements. I have a bachelor degree in language, English and Spanish. I lived in UK for about 10 years, and currently I teach English online. In this case, would I still need to take an English test such as an IELTS or TOEFL, or could my background be considered sufficient proof of English proficiency?
Formally, I don't know if it will be registered as the equivalent, but for us to make a local assessment, it will be definitely suitable. So submit what you do have. Usually university admissions will only look at your academic background. So if your degree consists of at least half of your studies was in English studies or English language, they will register the equivalent of English 6. But since you studied 2 different languages and maybe something more, it's not, I can't guarantee that they will do it. But for us, at least at Linnaeus University, we can accept it. It sounds very suitable. So just send us, if you know that you're unqualified, you can just send us an email and we can make a local assessment. I
And
will
that's
definitely accept this sort of background.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good thing that you are pointing out now also, that actually, like, the owner on the decisions by the end of the day is always the university, even though the national agency do a lot of help for us at the university with reviewing and doing things, but they also are following the manuals, the general information, and that means that when something doesn't really fit into that, it's always good to contact us directly at the university, because then we can always give a local exemption, as Caroline described here. We are obviously not only bureaucrats, we are also looking at the person behind everything, and that means that if there is something that's actually are proven by other documents, we can always look at that. But that was not the last question regarding English I found in the chat, because there are more here. If I'm from Nigeria, is it required for me to upload an English test result?
No, your academic documents or upper secondary school documents will be sufficient.
That's actually a good point out for everybody, that if you are from a country where you have English from a high school diploma, upload it. Don't forget it, because sometimes your bachelor might not give you English, but you might be that you have English from your high school diploma. So even if you're applying for master, upload your high school upper secondary education document. Well, and I'm going to end it up with the question that I know that you heard so many times before. Can I be exempted regarding English if I studied my bachelor in English?
Again, it depends on the country of your studies. So make sure to check the country instructions on university admissions, because most countries will still need to submit a separate proof of English proficiency, even if you have studied in English. If it's not an English-speaking country, or certain African countries, or if you studied in English in the EU, for instance. So you need to check that your degree will be accepted.
Exactly. So there's a lot of concerns I can see regarding English here, but I'll end for now, Henrik. I'm pretty sure that you have something that you want to ask Caroline about.
Yeah, there is a lot of questions coming in here as well. One question that is interesting is, I applied to your university as my third choice. If the admission decision from your university is made earlier than the other results from my first and second choice, will the result from your university be announced earlier?
No, even if we have processed your application at this point and the others haven't, we cannot issue your actual selection results separately. It's nationally regulated. All the selections are made at the same time, and all the results will be issued at the same time for applications made on time. When we process your late application, for instance, if you applied late as well, this is a separate process, because then we will do it locally at the university. When we have processed your application, we will issue your selection results. So in that process, you could be offered a seat in a random order, basically. But in the regular selection process for applications made on time, you will not receive anything earlier than 26th of March or 31st of March.
I see a good question here, actually, that could be interesting for a lot of students, I guess. If somebody has been unqualified in the status, are there chances that it will be reviewed again and that's up as qualified?
Yes, it could be updated. For instance, if you contact us with a question to why you're unqualified, and we together can decide that, okay, we made a mistake, you're not unqualified, or we missed something in your application, or you submit another document which changes our mind, then we can update your status to qualified, even if we confirmed your status as unqualified before.
Yes, so there
Yeah.
is hope for a lot of you guys here also.
There was a similar question here. Basically, someone applied and my status was unqualified, and this person reached out to university admission because all of the documents was uploaded and the response was document has not been verified. Is there a chance for reconsideration?
The documents were not verified, or what
Yeah,
did
the
you say?
document was not verified.
So they need to submit new documents, or what do you mean? Sorry, I'm not sure I
I'm
understand.
assuming so. It's the question is saying I uploaded the documents and university admission said like my documents is not verified. Is there a chance for
Yeah,
consideration?
because to me, verification is to check that the documents are authentic, but verified can maybe also mean reviewed. I'm not sure. So if university admissions haven't reviewed the documents yet, they can still be reviewed. University admissions are still working on the documents submitted on time. But the verification is a different process. If it's a country where the documents need to be verified with the issuing university, and this cannot happen for some reason, if the verification cannot be processed, the documents will not be accepted. Maybe something else needs to be submitted, or sometimes the applicant needs to contact their university to make sure that this process works in both ways. But I think they should have received more information from university admissions if that was the case. So maybe it's just that they haven't been reviewed yet. I'm not, sorry, not 100% sure what you mean.
Yeah, maybe this is a more clear question. If something is missing or unclear in my application, how will I be informed and how much time will I have to correct it?
University admissions will send you information regarding which document is missing or what you need to submit. And they will do it as soon as they have opened your application and reviewed your documents. But if they inform you now and you submit documents now, these additional documents will be late since they will be submitted after the deadline. So the new documents will be reviewed after the selection. But if you received information previously and you have submitted something else, they will also review these documents in the standard time. If it was before the 2nd of February, they will review it now before the selection, but if it's now after, they will review it after the selection. But you always get information that something is missing. You don't have to check it yourself.
I have another question here regarding if somebody, let's say that somebody studied like a bachelor in their home country and they studied 2 years and then they want to start the 3rd year in Sweden. Would that be possible?
It's difficult, but possible, depending on what you have studied and if it matches one of our programs here. You need to apply for the full program, and then when you are admitted, you will need to contact the department responsible for the program and make an assessment, like a credit transfer or an evaluation of your previous studies to see if you can join a later stage of this program. I think it's a very slim chance that you can actually join the 3rd year of the program, but you might be able to skip the first one or take different courses within the program and then graduate earlier. You don't have to take the full 3-year program. But it's quite rare that your previous studies match exactly the courses that you were supposed to take at Linnaeus University, but some credit transfer can most often be made.
Yes, and I also see that there are a lot of questions asking about the Q&A part, that they can't find it. And if you're looking in your phone or if you're looking online and can't see it, you look at the 3 dots, and that's where you find the Q&A part. But if you you can't find it at all, write your questions in the chat, but we prefer the Q&A part.
Yeah. We also have a question here. Could you kindly explain the issues regarding the missing general entry requirements of 180 ECTS. And then this one is also writing, my degree consists of 146 credits, but from another country. So I'm guessing that, yeah, how do you calculate this?
Yeah, the credits are different in different countries, and we are aware of that. So we usually make a translation of your credits from your educational system to the Swedish system. So even if it says that you're lacking 180 ECTS, it doesn't mean that we've just looked at your 146 and thought, oh no, you don't have 180. That's not the issue. Most likely something is missing in your documents, or your degree is not equivalent to a Swedish bachelor's degree, which is 180 credits. But it could be a lot of different issues, so it's difficult to say. But in general, it's always we understand that the different systems have different number of credits to meet a bachelor's degree. So you don't have to worry about this. It's like I said, the blunt information from university admissions when you are unqualified. It's quite generic. It will be the same for everyone, even if there is something else missing in your application. You'll just see this general information. So if you have doubts, if you think that something is wrong, you're always welcome to contact us. We can look into it in more detail.
Good. We have a question here. My master application is currently showing as in progress. Will my application still be considered before the first selection round?
Yes, if you are in progress for an application on time right now, it usually means that you're applying for a program with an individual assessment-based selection. And now when the admissions office has processed your application for the general and specific entry requirements, the application moves on to the next step of the process, which is the individual assessment, where the program coordinator and the administrators look into your application in more detail. If you have to submit a portfolio or statement of purpose or something like this, they will review all these parts and assign you a merit rating for the selection. So in progress is usually quite a good sign at this stage, because it means that we have found you to be qualified, you meet all the requirements, so now we need to issue your merit rating for the selection.
I have a question here also regarding date of birth. Somebody's writing, I got an email that my date of birth on my transcript is different from other document. I was asked to approach my formal school to get clarify on the discrepancy, which I've gotten to their attention, and send it back to the verification.uhr.se. My question is, can such attention affect my application? What is the stage of the application? What will happen, basically?
Yes, it can affect your application, because university admissions can probably not register your documents before they have received this information. So if your application isn't complete without this, it cannot be processed by the university either. Most likely giving you the status unqualified into the selection, and the documents you submit now will be considered late and then processed after the selection. In that case, if you are deleted in the selection because you were unqualified before, it's always possible to reapply. When you're deleted, you have this option on your selection results or in your application. You'll be able to reapply, which reactivates your application basically, and we will process your application based on the new information we receive from these new late submitted documents and the degrees that will be registered in the database after that. So even if you're deleted, it's not too late. It's always possible. If the program is open for late application, you can reapply. If it's already closed for late application, then you can send us an email and we can look into the possibility of processing your application again based on the new information.
Great. I also see a question here from Lana regarding her bachelor degree. I think we kind of answered something similar because she's got a very specified message regarding that she doesn't have like 180 ECTS and 90 credits in media and communications, for example, but she has a degree that should be equivalent to that. And as you have described here, that's usually that it could be something incorrectly with how she has uploaded the documents or how they are verified. And then we get the full message regarding that you do not meet that. But look at the messages, because there should be like a message regarding what is the reason why they do not accept the degree. I guess that would be the answer. What would you say, Caroline?
Yeah, and it could also mean that the degree is okay, it's equivalent to 180 credits, but your specific field of study is not found to be equivalent to the media and communication or the one expressed here.
Exactly.
So that if you studied something that we didn't consider equivalent, you would still see that your degree is not equivalent to 180 CTS, but maybe we just mean that you didn't have a degree in journalism or similar subjects. So that's that can also be an explanation.
Here's somebody
I
else
can jump in
yes,
on a question here.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So if we start with this one, if I hold a general MBA with working experience backing it up, but I haven't completed my bachelor, can I apply? I'm guessing for a master at Linnaeus University.
Well, it depends if you haven't completed your bachelor because you're still taking studies from this bachelor, or if you dropped out and then took the MBA instead, because we would have to take a look at if all your studies together are equivalent to a bachelor's degree. Depending on your country of study, it's possible that you can have, say, 2 + 2 years, 2 years of bachelor and 2 years of master studies, and combined they could be equivalent. But usually we cannot accept only your MBA. We would also need you to have the degree below the MBA complete. But it's difficult to say from this information, but you can try to submit all your studies, the transcripts you have accomplished so far from your bachelor and your MBA, and maybe together they can combine into the equivalent for the general entry requirements.
Yeah, good. I can answer a question here, and that is if you're applied for single subject courses, then the result will be published at the same time as the bachelor's. So for this one that is applying for Swedish courses, then the result will be March 31. So just as the bachelor programs when they are, when those results are coming out. And then for competitive programs, what is usually distinguish admitted students from the ones on the waiting list?
Sorry, again?
For competitive programs, what usually distinguish admitted students from the ones on the waiting list?
Oh, okay. It depends on the program you're applying for, because your admission will be based on your merit rating. So we will always, if there is a limited number of seats compared to more applicants, if there are more qualified applicants than available seats, there will always be an admission in order of merit rating. So if it's based on your academic credits, the ones with most credits will be admitted first and then in a descending order. But if it's an individual assessment, for instance, you will be offered a merit rating based on your relevance for the program after this assessment has been made. And the higher merit rating will be admitted first and then descending order. So it's difficult to say exactly what makes one student admitted and the other not, but your merit rating is the tool we use in the selection to sort you out, yes.
Yeah.
Here comes a question regarding the different statuses again, Caroline. You can maybe explain it even better than me. On one slide, you showed the different status notices: qualified, unqualified, in progress. For a master applicant, could you explain whether in progress comes before being deemed qualified in the system, or how does it work?
There are two different in progress statuses. First, when we are actually processing your application, you see in progress. When university admissions review your documents and then we review your application, it says in progress. And if you are unqualified, we confirm that you are unqualified, you will see unqualified. And if you're applying for a program with the selection based on only academic credits, and we confirm that you are qualified, you will see qualified. But we can also confirm that you are qualified, and we see qualified, but you continue seeing in progress. And that's when you apply for a program with an individual assessment-based selection, because that means that your application is processed also by the department, the faculty responsible for the program. They look into your portfolio or statement of purpose or English proficiency or any other document they asked for. So you can be first in progress and then qualified, but still see in progress in your pages on university admissions. But if you contact us, we can see, oh, but you are qualified. Sometimes we receive emails from applicants, I've been in progress forever, what's wrong? And we check it and say, oh no, you're qualified, nothing is wrong. And they are worried because they still see in progress. But if you applied for a program with an individual assessment, that means that you cannot see your actual status until we have set your merit rating. So that's why it sometimes can be a very long in progress period.
And one could
during the
also
whole-
say, I guess, also that right now you have been focusing a little bit extra on the master applicants, which means
Yes.
that it might be that more students applying for bachelor are also in progress still.
Yes, because university admissions also focus on master applications. They review their documents first, so we don't have any documents to look into until maybe now, mid-March, until the selection. So we process those quite late.
Yeah, and
But,
also one thing to add on there is also that you do, as you say, also the master applications earlier. Due to that, it's also more important due to that it's going to be like alternative selection on a lot of that program, which means that the faculties which usually do the alternative selection also need time in order to make their evaluation. While when it comes to bachelor applicants, usually it's actually just a national agency registering the document, and then the selection is done automatically based on the merit rating from the high school diploma. So there is basically no extra evaluation by the faculties needed, which means that the result can come much later, and it's not so important that it's done early compared to the master applicants, for example, also.
yes.
Yeah, so I basically think that you answered my question there on how long it takes to do the evaluation. So let's go on here. Will applicants receive updates if their application moves between evaluation stages, or only when the final results are released?
Well, you will not receive an actual email or information, but you can follow your status if you log into university admissions. So if it changes from in progress to unqualified, you'll be able to see that when you log into your pages, but we won't send you a notification of status change.
Yeah, I see somebody here was also asking about, it's a much easier question. I have a bachelor degree, 3-year from India. Would that make me eligible? It's from software technology. No, sorry, it's from computer science, I guess.
A 3-year degree from India is not equivalent to a Swedish bachelor's degree. It needs to be an honors degree or a 4-year bachelor's degree.
Quick and easy answer. What else do we have here that we can see coming back? I see that some students are asking about scholarship. if you had like first priority applications in time, then you could apply for scholarship. If applying late, no possibility for scholarship. We only have the scholarship we show at our web page. And also, when it comes to scholarship, there might be opportunities from your home countries, but we are not aware of all these scholarships. So check out your alternatives on on the web page. Basically, you can find also information and links to Swedish Institute where there are some alternatives, but mostly now alternatives are closed. Basically, it was only for applications in time.
Yeah, we have a question here regarding like, do we consider professional experience, like work experience, in addition to academic qualifications? And in this case, it's for informatics or IT programs.
Sometimes, but not generally. It's not taken into consideration in our general assessment. But if you are unqualified and you know that you have a very relevant experience, you're welcome to contact us and we can make an individual assessment of your application and we may be able to take it into consideration. Yes.
Good. And then I see that there's quite many questions regarding if they made a late application, when will you start looking at those?
We will process them after all the applications made on time have been processed, and when university admissions start processing late documents. So it's usually after the regular selection process, so early April, and then start issuing separate selection results by mid or end of April and during May most of the time, since the last day to pay the tuition fee for the autumn semester is June 1st. We won't issue selection results later than that.
Yeah, and this is maybe a question for, I don't know if Åsa is still there. Åsa, we got the question for you. If admitted to a program, when should international students expect to receive information about the tuition fee payments?
Okay, yes. Yeah, just a few days after the admission results are released, there will be a series of information emails sent out, and those will include information about the tuition fee payment as well.
Okay, perfect. So just a few days after admission. Okay, yeah, we can just also say that after you've been admitted, if you're admitted, keep your eyes on your mailbox because you will get quite a lot of information sent to you in the days after the admission. Yeah. And then we have quite a lot of questions that we've answered before. I don't know if I see anything new. Yeah, someone asking here if I want to like change my mind, can I email the universities that are ranked higher and ask them to reject my application or delete my application to be able to get admitted to a lower ranked one?
Yeah, delete your application. I think you can do it yourself, actually. It doesn't change the other application's date of application. But if you can't delete it yourself, then yes, of course, you're welcome to contact them to see if they can help you out.
Yeah, good. It feels like a lot of the questions that I still can see here is either quite like specific and maybe better to send by email to admission and they can look at it from with your application number, or we've already replied them. So I don't know if Stefan can find any more last question that we've missed so far.
Well, I find obviously that there are questions, but we are now reaching the end of this webinar. And for all of you that feel that you did not get your questions answered, please feel free to contact us at admission@lnu.se, even if Caroline will give me the angry eye now because she need to also review all application. But obviously, if there are things that we need to answer, we always put the focus on that also, even if we obviously need to focus on reviewing now. So basically, if you felt that you didn't get your question answered, send us an email to admission@lnu.se, or for that sense, study@lnu.se, and we will do our best to answer your questions. And beside that, we obviously want to thank everybody for being part of this, and we will have more webinars in the upcoming weeks, so keep an eye at our Meet Us page. We will also invite you through email. If you want to follow us on social media, basically just search on @Linnaeus University, and then you will find a lot of other information posted on the social media, basically. So with that said, thank you, Caroline, thank you, Henrik, thank you everybody in the chat for being in this webinar, and we are all looking forward to meeting all of you students here in Växjö or Kalmar in the coming autumn. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.